Hi, I'm Jim from the Old Warlock. When I first started playing Dungeons & Dragons, it was back in 1978, and you kind of used anything you could for your Dungeon Master screen, and this is actually my first Dungeon Master screen. Not terribly fancy, but it served a purpose. But after just a year or so, I upgraded to this. Got this at a garage sale someplace. It's part of some 1950s Knights in Shining Armor set. And for my players and myself, this was my DM screen for actually well over a decade, probably 2 decades. A friend of mine by the name of Bill, who started playing with us just a few years after I started, he managed to come up with this Dungeon Master screen, which you could buy from TSR, and which I actually love. And my friend Calvin finally scored one for me, and he got this off of eBay. It's in pretty darn good shape. I've always loved this particular Dungeon Master screen, because not only does it have all of the tables and charts that you would want to have as a Dungeon Master on the inside, it's got all this great artwork on the outside. I actually love this particular piece of artwork here. And whenever I see it, it makes me want to play Dungeons & Dragons even decades later. But like I said, I first found out about this particular screen from Bill. Friend Calvin bought me one quite a few years later. And this is what I used up until just about a year and a half ago, when suddenly I discovered 3D printing. Now I'm going to show you where my evolution of Dungeon Master's screen has brought me. Put this one away, and then, yeah, on this one it's got the thing from the Player's Handbook. I mean, this is a really cool screen, but wait till you see what I've done next. So, Alexander, could you help me with this? Bring my next stage of Dungeon Master screen in?
You know what? I would just love to.
Cool.
Hey everybody, how's it going? You might recognize me, I'm Alex.
He shows up here from time to time.
I sure do. All right, good to see you guys. I'll catch up with you later.
So this is my latest Dungeon Master screen. If you have a 3D printer, you can actually make one of these for yourself. I get this from, I get the files from this from a 3D print file maker, for lack of a better term, known as Fat Dragon Games. Fat Dragon Games makes some really cool stuff, and I am by no means hawking Fat Dragon Games products. I'm just letting you know where you can get this, because I think this is so cool that the more of these kinds of things that get sold through Fat Dragon Games, the more they're going to continue making cool stuff. Now, if you go to DriveThruRPG to get these, it's really not as expensive as you might think. The Game Master screen, which again includes this and this and this and a couple of other components that I haven't included here, it runs like $18 for the files. Sometimes you can get them on sale for even cheaper than that. This one, I want to say the Castle Starter Set, I think that runs maybe $15, but I'm not sure. But go to DriveThruRPG, type in the search bar, type in Fat Dragon Games, and you'll see all kinds of stuff. They also do a variety of minifigures. They do villages. They do just no end of cool things that you can add to your table to give it an element of interest, realism, and excitement. But on that excitement score, I've actually gone and modified these a couple of steps further. I'm going to show you exactly what I've done here right now. It lights up. And if you look down here at the front of the gatehouse, you'll see some torch walls. Those are actually Fat Dragon Games components as well, and they are made to light up once you get done printing them. I've also done the same thing at the bottom of the dice tower here, and yes, this section right here is a dice tower. One of the cool things is this demon head comes from, as far as I can see, it's almost an exact copy of a demon head that came out of the Tomb of Horror module from AD&D back in the day. But I've also made a few more modifications myself, and if you look down here at the eyes of the demon, if I flip this switch back here, the eyeballs light up, the interior of this lights up, and I've also done some lighting on the inside of the gatehouse here, and if you look inside, you can see that there's a red glow that comes out of the primary gatehouse. So I've moved from essentially a couple of 3-ring binders to having an old kid's toy involved in that to make my Dungeon Master screen. Then I've moved to some AD&D supplemental materials as a Dungeon Master screen, and this is where I am today. Check back with me in a year from now with 3D printing being what it is, and a lot of people making interesting components for this type of thing. It's hard to say what I'm going to end up doing next, but right now I'm kind of proud of my latest iteration of the Dungeon Master screen. If you're interested in seeing some of these, I may end up having one of these for sale on our Etsy store, just the Dice Tower component. It won't be cheap because these things do take an awful long time to print. Other things that we do make available, where trust me, we're not going to get rich off of them, but if we manage to sell some of these on Spreadshirt or on Etsy, it might help us defray the cost of maintaining the channel a little bit. You may have seen this t-shirt that I wear from time to time. This was actually drawn by our videographer, Zachary, and that's available on our Spreadshirt. If you check the description in this video, you'll see a link to that. We also sell on Etsy the Dice Dungeon, things like that. Check those places out. There might be something there that you would want to buy for somebody who's your favorite Dungeon Master or your favorite player. You never know what's going to be up there because we just make stuff and toss it up there because we think it's cool. Anyway, thought you might like to see my Dungeon Master screen. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. I'd be glad to give you directions on how to find these files if you can't do so, so that you can get one of these printed for yourself off of Drive-Thru RPG. But until next time, I'm Jim from the Old Warlock. Keep your sword on free.